Dhamma was tightening his belt to fight with Kṛṣṇa, the conqueror of the demon Agha. This is an instance of chivalry and ecstatic love. Sometimes the cowherd boys like to fight with Kṛṣṇa. They wrestle with Kṛṣṇa. Sometimes Kṛṣṇa lets them win too. He likes this mood of chivalry and friendship. Lamentation. In the 10th canto, 7th chapter, verse 25 of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there is a description of Kṛṣṇa's being taken away by the whirlwind demon Trinavarta. As Kṛṣṇa was thus being carried up into the sky, all the gopis began to cry aloud. They approached Mother Yashoda, stating that they could not find the son of Nanda. He had been taken away by a whirlwind. This is an instance of lamentation and ecstatic love. When Kṛṣṇa was fighting with Kaliya, Mother Yashoda exclaimed, "Kṛṣṇa is now entrapped within the bonds of the Kaliya snake, and yet I am not tattered to pieces. So I must admit how wonderful is the preserving power of this material body." This is another instance of lamentation and ecstatic love. Yeah, she couldn't believe that she was still alive after seeing Kṛṣṇa in such a dangerous situation.
Non-material body.
Well, she was thinking like that. Yeah. Anger. When Jatila, the mother of Abhimanyu, saw Kṛṣṇa wearing a necklace, she could understand that the jeweled ornament had been given to him by Radharani. Therefore, she became absorbed in anger and began to move her eyebrows, expressing her anger in ecstatic love. That Kṛṣṇa, that rascal, he's been seeing Radharani again. Ghastliness. There is a statement by Jamunacharya to this effect. Since I have begun to enjoy these transcendental exchanges of love, which are always newer and newer, whenever I remember the pleasure of past sex life, my lips curl and I wish to spit on the idea. This is an instance of ecstatic love and ghastliness. Yeah, you can't imagine how sweet and how beautiful this love of Kṛṣṇa is. And it's always fresh and new. It never gets stale or old or boring or anything. And in comparison, this lusty attitude of material sex enjoyment is very, very crude and animalistic. And there's a lot of anger in it and a lot of all kinds of nasty feelings. I mean, in comparison, it's a very, very nasty thing, very dirty thing. And just like in India, you'll see this when we're there. If there's some bad smell, like, sometimes there's an open sewer or something like that, and people smell it, they'll spit, so as not to absorb the smell. It's something you learn when you're in India. So this is a common thing in India. If there's some bad smell or some bad odor, the people will spit so they don't absorb the taste. So Jamunacharya is like that. Whenever he thinks of sex life, then he rejects it. Because it's so contaminated compared with love of Kṛṣṇa. Dread. One old devotee said, "My dear Lord, when we are away from you, we become so anxious to see you again, and there is great misery in our lives. But when we do see you, there immediately comes the fear of separation. Under the circumstances, both when we see you and when we do not see you, we are subjected to different kinds of tribulation." This is an instance of a contradictory mixture of ecstatic love for Kṛṣṇa. Such ecstatic love is palatable, and expert critics have compared such ecstatic love to a mixture of curd, sugar candy, and a little black pepper. The combined taste is very palatable. So, that's the end of chapter 33. We find in many instances of ecstatic love for Kṛṣṇa, there are apparently contradictory elements, such as anger, lamentation, all the vyabhichari bhavas. Vyabhichari means contrary or conflicting or negative. So why are these a part of love of Kṛṣṇa? Why isn't love for Kṛṣṇa just like straightforward? Huh? And the reason is because these contradictory factors actually increase the taste. It's a kind of spice. Just like when we are cooking, sometimes we'll put hot chilies or, asafoetida or other spices, which by themselves aren't very good, but when you combine them with other tastes, they're very, very tasty, very palatable. So the trick then is in the combination. Or just like if you hear music that consists of nothing but harmonic intervals, like early music, like Palestrina and Renaissance music and stuff like this. To us it sounds goofy. It's like it's too happy. It's like, what? Come on. Nobody can be that happy. There has to be some dissonance for it to sound normal to us, right? And usually there are seventh chords and like that. And in jazz, of course, every chord is dissonant. Every chord is dissonant, and there's just like variations in the amount of dissonance between one chord and another. And that's what gives the music its ebb and flow of tension. Okay, well that's completely absent in the early music, like Renaissance music and stuff like that. It's all major chords, and it's all like, It's too nice.
It becomes boring.
Nicey, right. Why? Why does it become boring?
Monotonous.
You have to take the mic. Where nobody's going to hear you.
It becomes boring because it's monotonous.
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 Right. Monotonous means one tone. See? So if everything is the same tone, after a while it becomes completely unlistenable because there's no expression. There's no ebb and flow of tension and release. This is what gives art, or especially music, its expression. That it builds up to a certain point and then relaxes. Like that. So music has to breathe. Music has to have some variation in the harmonic tension. That's a tremendous source of expressiveness in Western music. The harmony. You can pretty much express all kinds of feelings just by the particular selection of chords and chord changes, modulations, and things like that. So if the music doesn't have that, it's missing something. If there's no dissonance, after a while it's like, it's boring. There's no change in the tension. There's no ebb and flow, no expression.
Like the analogy you explained some time ago, when you go into a pool, it's so much better if the weather is hot and you're sweating and then the water is cool, that if you can enjoy or relish so much more going into the water than if it's winter and it's freezing and then you go into the water, because there's no contrast.
Mm-hmm. Contrast, what do they say? Variety is the spice of life. So to have that spice, to have that good taste, we require variety and contrast. And there needs to be also some pattern to it. You know, there is some modern music that's like generated by algorithms or by arbitrary means. And it has no predictable pattern of tension and release. Like it's all dissonant, or its pattern of tension and release is not predictable. So we find that what human beings actually enjoy is a predictable pattern of tension and release. You see? And so when we get into this study of rasa, we find that Kṛṣṇa also creates these predictable patterns. It's like the demons will attack, and then, you know, that Kṛṣṇa will exchange some words with them. You know, I will send you to the abode of Yamaraj, you and all your family members. You know, and then the